The sky over the Oregon forest was quiet. A light mist hovered above the trees, and the early morning sun barely touched the ground. Birds chirped softly and the wind moved gently through the pine branches. Ethan Cole, a forest ranger, walked along a narrow dirt path checking his radio for any updates. His boots made soft sounds on the wet soil, and he breathed in the cool, fresh air. It was another ordinary morning in the woods, or so he thought. Suddenly, a strange light appeared in the sky. Ethan froze. It moved quickly, a bright streak that cut across the horizon. At first he thought it was a shooting star, but the way it descended was different. It was coming down too fast and too low. He ran toward the source, his heart beating faster. Something was about to hit the forest. The sound of impact shook the ground. A loud crash echoed through the trees, followed by a dull thud. Ethan reached the clearing and stopped. Smoke and small fires were rising from the ground. Twisted metal in strange parts were scattered among broken branches. His eyes widened. This was not a plane crash. He had never seen anything like this. He stepped carefully toward the wreckage. Pieces of metal were still warm, and there was a faint hum coming from one of the larger fragments. Then he saw her. She lay among the debris, barely moving. Her skin was pale with a faint blue tint, and her hair shimmered with a silver light. Her eyes were large and dark, filled with fear. She was alive, but barely. Ethan's heart raced. He had seen accidents before, but never anything like this. Hey, are you okay?" he called softly. She did not answer. Her breathing was shallow and her hands trembled. Ethan knelt beside her. He could see strange symbols on her clothing, like writing he had never seen before. Her body was small and delicate, but there was something strong in the way she held herself even in pain. Carefully, Ethan lifted her. She was lighter than he expected, almost weightless. She gasped, a sound that was soft but full of pain. He carried her to his truck, ignoring the fear in his mind about what this could mean. There was no time to call anyone. She needed help now. In his cabin, Ethan laid her on a bed. He ran water over her wounds and checked her pulse. She flinched at every touch, as if she expected to be hurt again. Ethan realized she had been through something terrible. Most people trusted help, but not her. He remembered all the stories he had heard about refugees and travelers from faraway lands. Some carried fear that stayed with them no matter what. Hours passed. She did not speak, and Ethan did not press her. He gave her water and bandaged her cuts. He stayed close, keeping his voice calm. At last she stirred. Her large eyes opened slowly. She looked at him with confusion and fear. He smiled gently. "It's okay. You're safe now," he said. She tilted her head, studying him as if trying to understand his words. She spoke a sound, but it was not a language he knew. It was soft and melodic, almost musical, but he could not make sense of it. She tried again, shaking her head. She looked around, as if searching for someone else. Ethan understood. She had come from far away, and she did not expect kindness. She had been hurt before, and trust was not easy. He wanted to make her understand that he was not like the others. "You don't need to be afraid," he said. "I'm not going to hurt you." Slowly, she relaxed just a little. She watched his hands, the way he moved, the way he spoke. Something inside her stirred. She had been abandoned before, left to die by beings who called themselves her people's leaders. The galaxy had turned away, leaving her alone. And now, on this small blue planet, she felt something strange. She felt hope. Ethan knew he could not keep her here forever. He needed to figure out what she was, where she came from, and how to protect her. But for now, she needed safety. He brought food and more water. She hesitated, but took it. She ate slowly, watching him the whole time. Every bite seemed like a small victory. The first night was difficult. She could not sleep, and she kept looking out the window at the dark forest. Ethan sat nearby, keeping watch. Every sound made her flinch. He whispered stories of the forest, of the animals, of the quiet life of humans in small towns. She listened. Slowly, her body relaxed. The next morning, she spoke again, using words that sounded strange to Ethan. He could not understand them, but he noticed something important. She was trying. She was trying to communicate. She was trying to trust. Ethan smiled. "It's okay," he said. "We'll figure it out together." Days passed. Ethan worked on her injuries and tried to teach her simple words. She learned quickly, faster than he expected. Her mind was sharp and her memory was strong. She remembered details he had not even noticed. Her alien technology, even damaged, fascinated him. Pieces of her ship still hummed and glowed with power he could not explain. She showed him how to use one device. It translated some sounds into words. With it, she could tell him her name, Ira. That was all she could give him for now. She could not explain where she was from, what had happened, or why the galaxy had abandoned her. She only knew fear, pain, and the sudden, confusing feeling of safety. Ethan listened, learning slowly. He had always believed humans were ordinary, but watching Ira, he realized something. Even though she was from far away, she was learning, adapting, and surviving. Just like humans. She had strength he could admire. He realized that maybe humans were not as small in the universe as they thought. One afternoon, while Ira rested, Ethan went outside. He looked at the sky. He wondered if anyone would come for her. He wondered if the galaxy had already forgotten her, just as she had said. The thought made him angry. How could anyone leave someone to die? But then he looked at Ira lying peacefully inside, and he felt a promise rising in his heart. He would not let that happen, not here, not on Earth. He returned and found her awake. She smiled faintly, showing trust for the first time. She tried to say something in her strange language. He did not understand, but he reached out his hand. She hesitated and then took it. The touch was simple, human, and yet it spoke more than words could. "You're safe," he said again. "No one will hurt you here." For the first time in a long time, Ira believed it. She closed her eyes, feeling warmth, feeling hope, feeling a place where she might belong. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left alone to die in the cold darkness of space. But here, on this small blue planet, someone had chosen to care. Someone had chosen her. The forest was quiet again. The mist settled among the trees, the birds returned, and the sun climbed higher. Ira looked at Ethan and felt something she had not felt in years. Trust. The journey ahead would be long, and dangers would come. She knew the galaxy had not forgotten cruelty. But for now, she could rest. For the first time, she could rest knowing that someone on this planet had embraced her. And Ethan, watching her, understood that his life had changed forever. He had found a friend, an ally, and maybe something more. He did not know what the future held, but he knew one thing clearly. No matter what, he would protect her. The galaxy could abandon her, but Earth would not. The first part of their story ended with silence, with the forest holding its breath and with a promise unspoken but deeply felt. Ira had survived the crash. She had found someone who cared, and in that quiet cabin, far from the stars, a new chapter of her life was beginning. The morning sun streamed through the cabin window, lighting the small room with a warm glow. Ira sat on the edge of the bed, her silver hair falling over her shoulders. She traced her fingers along the folds of her clothing, lost in thought. Outside, the forest was alive with the sound of birds and rustling leaves, but inside, the cabin felt like a small island of quiet. Ethan brewed coffee and brought a small tray of food. He set it on the table and watched Ira carefully. "You need to eat," he said softly. "You've been through a lot." Ira looked at him, her dark eyes wide. She hesitated before touching the food. Every bite was small, careful, as if she was learning to trust her body again. Ethan stayed nearby, talking to her in gentle words, describing the forest, the animals, and the simple rhythm of human life. It was slow at first, but over time, Ira began to respond. She repeated small words Ethan taught her, trying to shape them with her lips. "Tree," she said one morning, pointing outside. "Bird, sky, water." Her accent was strange, but her words carried meaning. Ethan smiled. She was learning quickly. "You're doing great," he said. "You'll speak English in no time." Ira tilted her head. She tried another word. "Friend." She spoke it carefully, and her eyes met Ethan's. He nodded, understanding the weight behind the word. She had never had a friend before, not truly. Her people had abandoned her. The galaxy had left her to die. Now, for the first time, someone cared for her simply because it was the right thing to do. Days passed, and Ira's strength returned. She moved more confidently, her hands steady, her steps firm. Ethan showed her how to use basic tools in the cabin, how to light a fire safely, and how to move quietly in the forest. She learned quickly, her mind sharp and her body nimble. One afternoon, Ira brought out a small piece of her damaged ship. It glowed faintly, humming with energy. Ethan leaned closer, curiosity shining in his eyes. "What is this?" he asked. Machine," Ira said slowly. "Ship, broken, cannot fly." She touched it gently. "I need fix," Ethan nodded. "We'll see what we can do. Don't worry, you'll get it working again." Era watched him, a faint smile forming on her lips. She had not expected humans to care about her technology. Other species had always tried to take it, destroy it, or use it for power. But here someone helped her. Someone wanted her to succeed, not exploit her. As she worked on the device, she began to speak more in English. She told Ethan small parts of her story using short words and gestures. My planet. Filthera. Gone. Council. Say. Useless. Leave. Die. Her voice was soft, but the meaning was clear. She had been abandoned, left alone in the vastness of space while others prospered. Ethan listened in silence, anger and sadness rising in his chest. How could any civilization be so cruel? They left you? He asked. They just abandoned you? Era nodded, tears welling in her dark eyes. Yes, alone. No help, no hope. She buried her face in her hands, shivering slightly. Ethan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Not here. Not anymore. You're safe now. I won't let anyone hurt you. She looked up at him, studying his face. Something in his words touched her deeply. For the first time, she felt that maybe not all beings in the universe were cruel. Maybe there were those who could care, who could protect, who could love. Over the next few days, Ethan and Era worked together to repair the small communicator from her ship. It was delicate work, and Era's hands were precise and careful. Ethan watched, fascinated. You're really smart, he said. I've never seen anything like this. Era shook her head. Not smart. Survive. Must survive. She touched the device. Help others. Maybe. Ethan realized she was thinking beyond herself. Even after all she had suffered, she still wanted to help others. He felt a surge of respect for her. Humans had courage, yes, but this alien being, abandoned by the galaxy, had a heart strong enough to survive and still care. One evening, as the sky turned orange and the forest was bathed in the glow of sunset, Era paused in her work. She looked at Ethan with fear in her eyes. Hunters! Coming, she whispered. Ethan froze. Hunters? He asked. She nodded. They take me back, Council. Want me dangerous? Here. Ethan's stomach tightened. He had known this might happen. The galaxy would not simply let her disappear. Bounty hunters and scouts could be anywhere, but he refused to let fear control him. He looked at her, steady and calm. We won't let them take you, he said firmly. We'll stay ahead of them. I promise. Era's eyes filled with tears, but this time they were not just for fear. They were for hope. She had no family left, no friends in the galaxy, but here on Earth she had someone willing to risk everything for her. The next day, Ethan taught Era how to move quietly through the forest. They practiced avoiding noisy paths, hiding behind trees, and using the natural cover to stay safe. Era learned quickly, her body moving with grace and precision. Ethan realized that human skills were not just strength or tools. Their courage, adaptability, and determination made them dangerous in ways the galaxy underestimated. As they trained, Era began to speak more confidently in English. She told Ethan about the Council, about how they had abandoned her people, and how most species in the galaxy had turned their backs. Ethan listened, horrified. They just left you to die? That's unbelievable, Era nodded. Yes, die, alone, many, like me. Ethan felt a deep anger rising inside him. How could any civilization be so heartless? He clenched his fists, but then he looked at Era. She was not broken. She was alive, fighting and learning, and now she had him. Together they would face whatever came. That night they heard the first strange sound in the distance. A low hum, almost mechanical, carried on the wind. Era froze. Hunters! Close, she whispered. Ethan grabbed his flashlight and peered into the darkness. He could see nothing yet, but he felt the threat. We'll be ready, he said. We'll stay hidden until we know what they want. Era nodded, trusting him completely. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left to die among the stars, but now she had someone who would fight for her. Her heart swelled with a feeling she had never known. Hope. Over the next days, they prepared. Ethan set up basic traps and warning systems around the cabin. Era worked on the small devices she had salvaged from her ship, learning to integrate them with human tools. Together, they formed a small, careful system to keep them safe. During quiet moments, Era spoke of her homeworld, of the forests and oceans she remembered, of the families and friends who had been taken or lost. Ethan listened, asking questions, trying to understand. He realized that while the galaxy might be vast and cruel, humans had something rare: empathy, patience, and the will to protect those in need. One afternoon, Era tried to speak a full sentence in English. "I thank you," she said softly, looking at Ethan. Her accent was thick, her words slow, but the meaning was clear. Ethan smiled warmly. "You don't need to thank me," he said. "You're alive, and that's all that matters right now." Era looked down, but a small smile formed on her lips. She had learned that humans were not like the rest of the galaxy. They could be strong, yes, but also kind. She had been abandoned, left to die, but now she was learning to survive and to trust. As the sun set behind the mountains, the forest grew quiet. Era and Ethan sat together, planning for the days ahead. They knew danger would come. The galaxy would not forget her easily. But for now, they had each other. And in that quiet cabin, far from the stars, Era began to believe that maybe Earth could be the place where she belonged. Maybe here, abandoned by the galaxy, she could finally be safe. She had been lost, alone, and afraid. But now, with Ethan's guidance and the simple, steady courage of humans, she was learning to stand again. She was learning to speak, to trust, and to survive. And in doing so, she was discovering something she had never felt before: hope. The forest was quiet in the early morning, but a tension hung in the air. Ethan and Ira moved carefully along a narrow path, their eyes scanning the trees. The night had brought no signs of danger, but Ira's instincts told her the hunters were close. She walked silently, her hand brushing against the small device she had salvaged from her ship. It hummed faintly, a reminder that even in this strange world she still carried a piece of the stars with her. Ethan noticed her unease. "Relax," he whispered. "We'll stay ahead of them. I've set traps and we know the forest better than anyone." Era shook her head. "Hunters. Smart, they find, always." Her voice was calm, but her eyes betrayed fear. "I cannot hide forever," Ethan nodded. "I know, but we have time. We have a plan. Trust me." She glanced at him, her large eyes filled with both fear and hope. She had learned to trust humans in these few days, but this was different. The galaxy's hunters were ruthless. They did not care for mercy or kindness. But Ethan's presence gave her courage she had never felt before. As they moved deeper into the forest, a low hum reached their ears. Era froze. "Hunters. Close," she whispered. Her hand flew to the device at her belt, and the air shimmered faintly around her. It was a small energy shield, enough to protect them for a moment, but not forever. Ethan held up a finger, signaling her to stop. He crouched behind a tree and peered into the clearing ahead. Two strange ships hovered above the forest floor. Their surfaces were dark and metallic, and they emitted soft mechanical sounds. Figures moved inside, tall and angular, with glowing eyes that scanned the terrain. These were the bounty hunters Era had feared. "They're looking for you," Ethan said softly. "Stay close to me." Era nodded, gripping his arm. Her heart pounded, but she focused. She could feel the hunters' attention, their cold calculation. They would not stop until they found her. Ethan could see it in her expression. The mix of fear and determination, the same strength he had begun to admire. The hunters landed briefly, sending out small scouting drones. Ethan had anticipated this. He whispered to Era, "Follow me. We'll move through the shadows. Don't make a sound." Together they crept along the forest floor. Ethan's knowledge of the land gave them an advantage. He knew where the thick underbrush could hide them, and where the soft moss would muffle their steps. Era followed, her movements precise, blending human skills with her alien agility. One of the drones passed close, its sensors scanning the area. Era held her breath, letting Ethan guide her. The drone paused, its light scanning over their hiding spot. Then, without warning, it moved on. Era exhaled slowly. She had survived the first close call. They continued moving deeper into the forest. Ethan set small traps along the path, tripwires and noisemakers that would alert them to approaching danger. Era watched and helped, learning quickly. Her knowledge of alien technology allowed them to improve the traps, making them more sensitive and precise. Hours passed. The hunters were patient, methodical, searching every inch of the forest. Era's device hummed faintly, creating small pulses that disrupted some of their scanners. Ethan marveled at her ingenuity. "Humans don't usually have tech like this," he said quietly. But with your help, we're smarter than they think. Era nodded, her eyes scanning the trees. She realized something important. Humans might not have the galaxy's advanced ships or weapons, but their adaptability and determination made them dangerous. She had underestimated them before. Now she understood. Humans had something rare, a kind of courage that refused to give up no matter the odds. As night approached, the hunters closed in. One of them moved closer to their position, its glowing eyes scanning the shadows. Ethan held Era back, whispering instructions. Wait, let it pass. We'll strike when we need to. Era's heart raced, but she obeyed. She trusted him completely now. Together they moved silently, avoiding detection. But as they turned a corner, disaster struck. A fallen branch snapped under Ethan's foot. The sound echoed through the forest. The hunter's head turned instantly. Its sensors glowed brighter, and it began moving toward their location. Era acted quickly, activating her energy shield. The air shimmered around them, deflecting the first probe sent by the hunter. Ethan grabbed a fallen branch and threw it to the side, creating a distraction. "Run!" he shouted. They dashed through the forest, dodging scanning lights and mechanical limbs. Era's shield flickered, almost gone. She focused, using every bit of energy to protect them. Ethan led her to a small ravine, where the thick brush could hide them. They dove behind a cluster of ferns, panting and exhausted. Era looked at him, fear in her eyes. "They find us?" Ethan shook his head. "Not yet. But we can't stay here forever. We need a plan." Era's mind raced. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left to die without hope. But now with Ethan, she felt something new. Determination. She would not be taken again. "Not by hunters, not by the council, not by anyone. Help," she said. "We fight, we—" Stop them, Ethan smiled faintly. "Yes, we fight together." For the next few hours they prepared. Era worked on her device, integrating human tools to improve its shield and sensors. Ethan gathered stones, branches, and other materials to create traps and barriers. They moved quietly, communicating with gestures and short words. Trust between them had grown strong in these few days. As night fell, the hunters finally located their position. One of the ships hovered above the ravine, its scanners glowing bright. Ethan and Era held their breath. The hunters were methodical, searching every inch, but they underestimated the combination of human ingenuity and alien technology. Era activated her shield, creating a pulse that disrupted the scanners. Ethan threw a series of rocks to create noise elsewhere, confusing the hunters. They moved quickly, striking from the shadows, disabling one of the drones before it could call for reinforcements. The hunters' attention shifted. One of them approached cautiously, but Ethan and Era were ready. Era sent a small pulse from her device, temporarily stunning the hunter's sensors. Ethan used the distraction to strike with a sturdy branch, hitting the mechanical being and causing it to stumble. The fight was brief but intense. The hunters were powerful, but they were not prepared for the combination of human courage and alien technology. One hunter was disabled, falling to the forest floor with a heavy crash. The other retreated to its ship, sending a signal back to the council. Era's heart pounded. She had survived, but she knew this was only the beginning. The council would send more hunters. The galaxy had not forgotten her, but she had something now she had never had before: allies, trust, and a home to defend. Ethan looked at her, his clothes torn and face smudged with dirt, but his eyes steady. "We did it," he said. "For now." Era nodded, her fingers brushing over the small device at her belt. "We survive, we fight." Together they moved deeper into the forest, preparing for whatever would come next. Era realized that humans were unlike any other species she had encountered. They were small in the galaxy, yes, but their courage, determination, and heart made them powerful in ways the council could never understand. As dawn approached, the forest began to glow with the soft light of morning. Ethan and Era paused, looking at the horizon. They were tired but alive. The hunters were still out there, and the galaxy would not stop. But for the first time in a long while, Era felt hope. The stars above reminded her of the vast universe that had abandoned her. But here on this small blue planet, she had someone who cared. She had someone willing to fight beside her. The galaxy might have left her behind, but Earth had not. Ethan turned to her. "We'll get through this," he said. "I promise. No matter what, we stay together." Era looked at him, her dark eyes reflecting the first light of the new day. "Together," she repeated. The word was simple, but it carried everything she felt: trust, hope, courage, and determination. And as they moved forward, preparing for the battles yet to come, Ira realized something she had never thought possible. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left to die in the cold darkness of space, but here she had found something stronger than fear. She had found allies, she had found trust, and she had found a place where she belonged. The forest held its quiet watch, the mist lifting as the sun climbed higher. Ira and Ethan were alive. They had survived the first encounter, and for the first time in years she believed that maybe, just maybe, the galaxy had made a mistake in abandoning her. The next morning, Ira and Ethan sat quietly in the cabin listening to the forest come alive. Birds called to one another, and the wind moved through the trees, but neither of them spoke at first. Their bodies ached from the previous day's encounter, but their minds were alert. The hunters were still out there, and the galaxy had not forgotten Ira. Ira adjusted the small device at her belt. "Hunters, come back," she said, her voice calm but firm. "Council, send more." Ethan nodded. "Then we need more than just hiding. We need a plan. If they come, we fight smart." Ira looked at him, her large, dark eyes filled with determination. "Fight. Yes, but more humans. Others must know." Ethan frowned slightly. "Others? You mean like the military?" Ira nodded. "Yes, they. Strong, help. Stop council. Learn. Truth." Ethan understood. Ira wanted to show the people of Earth what was happening in the galaxy. She had been abandoned, left to die while the council acted without care. But maybe humans could do something different. Maybe Earth could be the place where justice and compassion mattered. That afternoon, they moved carefully through the forest to a higher hill, where Ira could use her damaged transmitter to send a signal. The device was small, glowing faintly, but it was powerful enough to reach beyond the atmosphere. Ira adjusted the controls, concentrating on sending a message. Ethan watched her work, impressed. "I don't know if they'll understand it, but it's worth a try," he said. Ira paused, looking at him. "You trust humans?" Ethan smiled. "I do. And I trust you too." Ira's lips curved into a small smile. For the first time, she truly believed it. Humans could be trusted. Humans could care. And maybe, just maybe, Earth could make a difference. The signal reached the orbit of Earth, and the first response came quickly. Military satellites detected the strange transmission. At first, the authorities were cautious. Reports of an unknown object and a strange energy signature caused concern and fear. Ethan and Ira watched as the first military drones scanned the area. Ira's device hummed, sending pulses that interfered with the scanners just enough to hide them temporarily. She looked at Ethan. "Humans? Close, but not understand." Ethan nodded. "Then we teach them." He contacted the local authorities cautiously, explaining that they had found a survivor of a crash with unknown technology. At first, the officers were suspicious, ready to contain the situation. But Ethan spoke with calm authority, showing them Ira, her injuries, and her strange but peaceful behavior. Ira tried to speak through her translator, her voice soft but earnest. "I come from stars. Council, cruel. My people left die. Humans can help." The officers exchanged uneasy glances. Ethan stepped forward. "She's telling the truth. She is alive and she needs protection. We cannot let her be taken." The authorities hesitated. The story was unbelievable. An alien being abandoned by the galaxy asking humans for help. It seemed impossible. But they could not ignore the evidence. The crashed ship, the strange device, and the clear intelligence of Ira made it undeniable. Ira demonstrated her device, showing how it worked and how it could help them. She spoke slowly, pointing to the small screens and lights, allowing the humans to see her technology without touching it. "This protect, council, watch, humans can stop." The military officers were cautious but curious. They realized that Earth might be the only place capable of defending against the galaxy's cruelty. One officer finally nodded. "We will help, but we need to understand how." "Show us." Ira worked with Ethan to teach them. She explained in simple words, gestures, and demonstrations. She showed how the device could interfere with scanners, how to detect approaching threats, and how human ingenuity could combine with alien technology. The humans learned quickly, adapting her methods to their equipment. For the first time, Ira saw the potential of Earth. Humans were not the strongest species in the galaxy. They did not have fleets or advanced ships, but they had something the Council did not understand: courage, adaptability, and the will to protect. As they trained and prepared, a message came from orbit. The Galactic Council had detected Era's signal. Their ships were moving toward Earth, curious about the strange world that had received one of their abandoned citizens. The Council's fleets were powerful, far beyond Earth's current defenses, but they had underestimated humanity. Era looked at Ethan. They come soon, dangerous. Much. Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we prepare. We fight smart, and we show them what humans can do. Together, they worked with the military to create basic defenses. Era's devices were integrated with human sensors, creating a network that could detect incoming ships and disrupt their scanners. Ethan helped organize the troops and scientists, teaching them how to use the forest for cover and how to adapt quickly to unexpected situations. Days passed in preparation. Era and Ethan grew closer, communicating without words at times, understanding each other through gestures, looks, and shared determination. Era began to trust humans fully. She realized that unlike other species, humans did not abandon hope. They acted, protected, and cared, even when the odds were against them. When the Council's scouts finally arrived in Earth's orbit, their massive ships glinted in the sunlight. They scanned the planet, searching for the source of the signal. But the preparations were ready. Era activated the shields and pulse devices, creating interference that confused the scouts' sensors. The Council's commanders were puzzled. They expected Earth to be a weak, primitive world. But their scans showed strange patterns, unusual defenses, and a small human fleet working with an alien device. They did not understand how a single planet could create such disruption. Era stood beside Ethan, watching the approaching ships. Her heart raced, but she felt no fear. She had been abandoned, left alone, but now she had allies. She had humans who cared, who could adapt, and who could fight. Together, they were more powerful than the Council expected. Ethan looked at her. "We do this together," he said. Era nodded. "Together," she replied. As the first Council scout descended, their ship slowed near the atmosphere. The humans had prepared traps and signals, and the alien technology created disruptions that forced the ship to hover uncertainly. Era demonstrated the pulse device, showing the humans how to use it effectively. The Council's ships were powerful, but the combination of human determination and alien technology created unexpected resistance. Each scout that approached was met with confusion, electronic disruption, and coordinated human tactics. The Council had never seen anything like this. Era's eyes shone with pride. She realized that Earth had a strength the galaxy underestimated. Humans might seem small, but they had courage, creativity, and a willingness to act for what was right. She had survived being abandoned, but now with humans she saw a chance to change the future. Ethan and the military worked tirelessly, learning from Era and adapting quickly. Every success built their confidence. The Council's scouts could not easily predict their moves. Humans were unpredictable in ways the galaxy had not accounted for. By nightfall, the scouts had retreated, confused and frustrated. Era and Ethan stood together on the hill, looking at the stars. The Council would not give up easily, but for the first time, Era felt hope that the galaxy's cruelty could be resisted. Era turned to Ethan. "Earth. Strong humans. Special. They fight. Care." Ethan smiled. "Yes. And together we'll make sure they survive anything the galaxy sends." The forest was quiet again, but this time it was a quiet filled with anticipation and readiness. Era had been abandoned by the galaxy, left alone to die in the vastness of space. But now she had a home, allies, and a chance to protect those who had chosen to care for her. The sun set behind the mountains, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. Era and Ethan watched side by side, knowing that tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for now, they had shown that humans could rise to the occasion, that compassion and courage could fight even the coldest forces of the galaxy. Era smiled faintly, feeling a warmth she had never known. She had been abandoned, but Earth had embraced her, and together they would face whatever the Council sent next. The galaxy might be cruel, but Earth was different. And in that difference lay a strength no machine, no ship, and no Council could ever destroy. The sky above Earth darkened as the Council fleet appeared. Massive ships moved slowly, scanning the planet with harsh blue lights. Their weapons were advanced, far beyond anything humans had ever seen. Yet, down on the ground, Ethan, Era, and the small team of human scientists and soldiers were ready. They had learned from Era, adapted her technology, and prepared traps and signals that could confuse even the Council's scanners. Era stood beside Ethan, her hands glowing faintly as she adjusted the pulse device. "They come. Very strong," she said. Her voice was calm, but her eyes reflected the intensity of the moment. "Many die, if not careful." Ethan placed a hand on her shoulder. "We'll do this together. Humans are strong. You'll see." The first Council ship descended toward the Pacific Ocean. It slowed as it entered the disrupted sensors created by Era's device. The humans had placed EMP-style disruptors along key points, using Era's knowledge to amplify their effects. The massive ship faltered, its lights flickering as if confused. Era's heart raced. She had faced hunters before, but never a fleet like this. And yet, seeing the humans' determination, she realized something extraordinary. Earth was alive in a way the galaxy had not expected. Humans were not the fastest or the strongest, but their courage, ingenuity, and refusal to give up made them formidable. On the ground, Ethan coordinated the defense. Small drones adapted from Era's designs moved between the trees, relaying signals. Soldiers adjusted their positions based on her warnings. Each human movement was calculated, yet unpredictable. The Council fleet had technology, but humans had heart, and heart was something they could not measure. The Council's fleet attempted to scan for Era, but each time the pulses from her devices confused the sensors. Ships hovered uncertainly, unable to track the signal. Era worked quickly, sending new patterns, teaching humans to adapt on the fly. Each success made her hope grow. She had been abandoned, left to die, but now, with humans, she was part of something bigger. One ship fired, a massive beam aimed at the forest. Ethan and the soldiers took cover behind trees and rocks while Era focused her device, creating a shield that scattered the energy into harmless sparks. The humans watched in awe. Their small devices, combined with Era's alien technology, could protect them. "Keep it steady," Ethan shouted. "Hold the shield." Era's hands glowed brighter, and the beam from the Council ship fizzled into harmless light. The forest trembled, but the humans held their ground. Other ships tried to flank them, but humans had anticipated the moves. Using quick thinking, traps, and Era's devices, they created false signals, luring the ships into areas where their sensors became useless. One scout was disabled entirely when it flew too close to a field of electromagnetic pulses. Era's eyes shone as she watched. "Human, fight, smart, strong," she whispered. She had known humans were brave, but seeing them act together, adapting faster than the Council could predict, filled her with pride. Ethan moved quickly, using the terrain to his advantage. He directed soldiers and scientists to use every tool at their disposal. They worked in unison with Era, combining human cunning and alien technology to create a defense that the Council had not anticipated. Hours passed, and the Council fleet began to falter. Their scanners could not locate Era. Their attacks were blocked or misdirected, and the humans' determination grew stronger with each success. For the first time, the Council realized Earth was not a simple, weak planet. Era felt a sense of triumph, but she remained focused. "Many sight more are coming. Cannot stop yet," she said. Ethan nodded. "Then we fight until we can. We don't give up. That's what humans do." As the sun began to rise, casting golden light over the forest and mountains, the Council fleet made a final attempt. Their largest ship descended, aiming directly at the main hill where Era and Ethan were positioned. The humans and Era prepared, knowing this could be their greatest challenge. Era activated the pulse devices fully, sending waves of interference through the Council's systems. The massive ship faltered, its movements jerky and uncertain. Humans adjusted, moving quickly to take advantage of the disruption. Traps and small devices created false readings, causing the ship to hesitate. Ethan held Era's hand for a brief moment. "We can do this together." Era nodded. Together. The humans launched a coordinated strike. EMP pulses, adapted alien technology, and clever human tactics worked in perfect unison. The council ship's systems overloaded, and it began to drift helplessly. Era sent a final pulse, and the ship was forced to retreat, limping back into orbit. The remaining council scouts, seeing their flagship disabled and their attacks blocked, began to withdraw. Confusion and frustration filled their ranks. They had underestimated humans, a species they had thought weak and insignificant. Earth had shown them courage, intelligence, and heart that no weapon could destroy. Era looked at Ethan, her eyes shining. "They leave. For now." Ethan smiled, exhausted but proud. "We did it. Earth won this round." The humans cheered quietly, but the victory was measured. Era reminded them that the council could return. "They watch. We must be ready." Ethan nodded. "Then we stay ready. We build, we learn, and we protect. We will not let anyone hurt this planet, or you." Era felt a warmth she had never known. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left alone in the cold darkness of space. But here, Earth had embraced her. Humans had shown her courage, kindness, and trust. For the first time, she felt that she belonged somewhere. Over the following days, scientists worked with Era to improve the technology, blending human tools with alien knowledge. They created new defenses, communication systems, and protective devices that could warn of incoming threats. Era taught them patiently, using simple words and gestures, helping them understand the technology's purpose and potential. Ethan stood by her side, watching the progress. "Humans are learning fast," he said. "You're helping them become stronger." Era nodded. "Yes, Earth must strong, not just protect me. Protect all." The council fleet did not return immediately. For now, Earth was safe, but the message had been sent. Humans had shown the galaxy that courage, determination, and compassion could stand against even the most advanced forces. One evening, as the sun set behind the mountains, Era and Ethan stood on the rebuilt launch pad. The small device from her ship was repaired, glowing faintly as it hummed with energy. Era looked at it, then at Ethan. "They abandoned me," she whispered. "Left me to die. Galaxy. Cruel." Ethan placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "But not here. Not on Earth. We chose to care, and now you're safe. You belong." Era smiled faintly, tears in her eyes. She had been alone for so long, betrayed and abandoned. But here she felt warmth, trust, and acceptance. For the first time, she believed in something simple and powerful. Humans could make a difference. Humans could protect, care, and embrace those who were lost. Ethan looked at her with quiet pride. "You're part of Earth now, and together we'll make sure it stays safe." Era nodded, feeling a deep sense of belonging. The stars above reminded her of the galaxy that had forgotten her, but Earth had not. Here she had allies, friends, and a home. She had been abandoned, but she had been embraced. As her repaired ship lifted off from the launch pad, carrying the Earth emblem proudly, Era whispered, "They left me. But Earth chose care." Ethan watched her rise into the sky, feeling the weight of the moment. "That's what humans do," he said softly. The council fleet had been repelled, at least for now. The galaxy might return, but Earth had proven itself. Humans were small in the universe, but their courage, creativity, and heart made them powerful. They had saved one abandoned soul, and in doing so, had reminded the galaxy that compassion could be stronger than fear. Era floated above the planet, looking down at the blue and green world that had given her life back. She had survived, learned trust, and found a place to belong. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, left to die in the cold darkness of space. But Earth had embraced her, and in that embrace, she found hope, strength, and a new beginning. The stars above shone brightly, but one small blue planet held a light the galaxy could not ignore. Earth had chosen to care. Humanity had shown that courage and compassion could stand against the universe itself. And Ira, abandoned no longer, was proof of what humans could achieve. Together, she and Ethan stood on the launch pad, looking at the stars, ready for whatever the future held. The galaxy had underestimated Earth, but now it had learned something it would never forget. Humans could fight, adapt, and protect what mattered. And in doing so, they had embraced someone the universe had abandoned. Era smiled, her heart full. For the first time in her life, she felt truly safe. She had been abandoned by the galaxy, but Earth had chosen her. And that choice had changed everything.